It's Monday morning, drop-off is done, and spring is finally here. This year, I decided I was going to turn the backyard into something gorgeous. So, this past weekend, we were out redoing the entire garden, planting trees, putting in flowers, mostly so I don't have to see the neighbors. There's very little privacy. Anyway, the kids woke up on Saturday, all enthusiastic, full of promises that they were going to help me with the family project. Please. 5 minutes in, and they were all fucking gone. Banished. Anyway, so there I was, stuck by myself doing the garden work. Honestly, I felt a little bit resentful in the beginning that they had just left me and I was there alone, but it was actually better. You know how often you say if you want to get something done, do it yourself? So I just knew it was less mess, and it meant that I could actually just sit in the garden, have a glass of vino, do the work while getting pissed on my own, and nobody interfering while I'm enjoying the sunshine. I was loving it until I stepped directly in a big pile of shit. Anyway, while I was out in the garden, it got me thinking about today's case. We're heading to an 18-acre estate in Indiana called Fox Hollow Farm. So Herb Baumeister was a doting dad who loved his garden too. But Herb wasn't planting trees for privacy. He was using his beautiful backyard to bury the evidence of a secret life. This is the story of the family eraser. People of Indiana, Herb was a pillar of the community. He was in his late 40s, successful entrepreneur, owned a chain of thrift stores called Save-A-Lot. He was wealthy, respected, and a seemingly devoted husband to his wife and 3 children. But for nearly a decade, starting around 1980, Herb was living a double life. He would slip away into the gay bars of the city using a fake name, Brian Smart. I mean, really, how smart? He was a predator who hunted in plain sight for years. He'd pick up these men and bring them back to his massive estate while his family was away at their lake house. And then he would murder them. Usually during sex, he would strangle these men. Isn't it just sickening to know that a man who loved and raised his kids was a killer? Ugh. So my gut is crawling because he was raising his children on top of a graveyard. He managed to keep these 2 worlds from touching for years, even as his business grew and his kids played in the very woods where he was hiding the remains of at least 11 men. The mask only started to slip in 1994 when Herb's young son found a human skull in the woods and brought it to his mother. I mean, can you imagine that moment? Herb was 47 at the time and a master manipulator. He told his wife it was just a medical mannequin from his father's old practice. And for a while, she actually believed him. Because as moms, we always just want to believe that the environment we've created for our kids is safe. But using her mom radar, something told her that it was just too convenient to be true. The police finally caught a break. A man who had survived an encounter with Brian Smart spotted Herb's car and got the license plate. But even then, Herb refused to let police search the property. It took another 2 years of investigation and Herb's marriage finally falling apart before his wife Julie gave the police permission to dig. When they did, they didn't just find one body, they found over 10,000 charred bones and teeth scattered across the property. He hadn't just buried them. He tried to incinerate his sins to keep his family man status intact. In July in 1996, once the police were finally crawling over his garden with shovels, Herb didn't stick around. He was 49 years old when he fled to a park in Canada and took his own life. He left behind a suicide note that complained about his failing business and his crumbling marriage. But he never confessed. He never gave the victims' families names or locations. He died a coward, trying to erase the truth one last time. So many of these families never knew if their children or their sons were part of his murders. He left his wife and children to pick up the pieces of a life that was literally built on a pile of bones. To this day, investigators are still using DNA technology to identify victims from those fragments found at Fox Hollow Farm. He thought he could erase his sins by burying them in the woods, but the earth always gives up its secrets, eventually. Herb proved that the family man can sometimes be the most dangerous mask of them all. And my gut tells me if a story sounds too good to be true, it usually is. Anyway, I'm so glad I finished the gardening this weekend. I'm Mrs. G. Keep your coffee hot, your vino chilled, hide the good snacks, and for the love of God, never trust a brown mark on your kids' undies. See you next Monday.